Hey guys, welcome back to another one. This is going to be a video about why YouTube is going to start using Theta very soon. Now I'm going to take you step by step through the numbers why YouTube needs Theta, and the partnership is going to happen a lot faster than we think. So yes, YouTube as we know it and the Theta network as we know it. I'll take you through some of the things that we do know. Steve Chen, he was a co-founder of YouTube, and he is now a very strong partner with Theta. Just that in and of itself is a good reason why the two will work together. Also, we already know that the enterprise validator nodes, Google is one of them. And as we know, Alphabet owns Google and Google owns YouTube. So just by them already being an enterprise validator node, we know that Google owns a bunch of Theta tokens. And then if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see why, just because of what Theta is. And guys, if you don't know what it is, it's a decentralized video streaming platform. So it solves that last mile delivery problem. So now let's check it out by the numbers. Why does YouTube need Theta, and why is this partnership going to happen ASAP? So we'll check out this article real quick. How does YouTube store and analyze such huge amounts of data? So we'll check out this paragraph right here. In either case, YouTube is an integral part of your life, and this is true for most people on Earth. It is easily proved by the fact that more than 400 hours of video content is uploaded on YouTube every minute, and approximately 1 billion hours of YouTube videos are watched every single day. That makes YouTube the second most popular social media platform in the world. So this number, 1 billion, which we'll take conservatively, it was actually, this article is in 2019, but the 1 billion number can be seen as far back as 2016. So this number is a very, very, very conservative number. So the closer number probably might even be closer to 1.5 or 2 billion for 2021 when you think about the, COVID last year, how everyone was staying from home. A lot of people were on social media. A lot of people were, watching YouTube for how-to videos to how to renovate their home and other things like that. It's a very conservative number. So let's also look at, the video quality. So right now in 2021, I think 1080p is, easy to say that it is the standard across the board. 720 maybe, depending on your internet quality, and lower depending on your internet quality. But 1080p, I think that's a safe standard to assume. There's also 4K out there. There's 8K out there. This is all on YouTube. But I think most people in the auto setting probably, if they have decent internet, it's chilling somewhere on that, 1080p setting. So if we look at the per minute and more specifically per hour, we can see that it takes about 3 gigabytes of 3 gigabytes per hour at 1080p for streaming. And if we look at that, we'll check out this 1080p, like we said, 3 gigabytes per hour. And if we do the math for the 1 billion hours watched, we said that was the conservative number. That's 3 billion gigabytes per day used on the YouTube platform. So that's the first step of the number. Also, we have to keep in mind that Google has its own content delivery network. So there's other ones which we'll check out here in a second. Fastly is one of the larger ones, and we'll grab some numbers from them. But we just have to know that Google has their own content delivery network. So it's all in-house. And then another huge expense for them is the data storage. So how does YouTube store, all of their data? We have to assume that Google and YouTube, they don't store just one copy of a video, but they store many copies of video, at least 2, just in case something were to happen to the data center. So Google, as we know, they have a lot of storage. So let's check out that content delivery network. So these are some of the pricing for Fastly. And if we check it out for the North America region, it's just a fraction of a penny. So it's very, very cheap to store data or to have this bandwidth, a fraction of a penny, but that's at, 10,000 requests. So it is something like Google will get these cheaper prices at Fastly. So once again, if we use that number, and I actually use half of the number that Fastly gave, because we're assuming that Google, since they do everything in-house, they have their own content delivery network, the number that they are, using, the number that they are charged is probably a whole lot cheaper than Fastly. So I'll use half the price. So 3 billion gigabytes per day times, 0.0035, that equals $10.5 million that Google is spending per day on bandwidth. And then if you multiply that, times $365, that's $3.8 billion with the B dollars per year that Google is spending, or YouTube specifically is spending, just on bandwidth. Now they're making some of that money back with advertisements, as we all know, the watching ads. And by the way, if you have Brave browser, you don't have to watch ads, but watching ads is one of the most annoying things about YouTube now, because it's not only at the very beginning where they hit you with 2 ads, but now there's ads throughout the entire video as well. So in order to get a better look at the numbers, we have to go to the Alphabet Investor Relations. And like I said, Alphabet is the parent company to Google and also YouTube. And I'm going to go through the 2021, the most recent quarterly earnings report, as well as the annual earning report for 2020 and 2019. And here we can get a better picture of, just how much YouTube needs the Theta network and what it can bring as far as cutting costs, because that is what all of these companies are about, is just making things cheaper. So we'll check it out here. If we go to the 2021 Q2, so most recent quarter, we're going to check out the revenues and the cost of revenues, more importantly. So the revenues for this quarter, for the 3 months ending, is $61 billion, because these are in millions. And then for the 6 months ending, it's $117 billion. But more importantly, it's nice that they have those revenues. It's the cost of revenues. That next line down is what I want to highlight. So the last 6 months is $50 billion to essentially, it's the bandwidth cost is one of the huge costs of revenues, among other things. So we'll check out, this is the annual report for 2020. If we look at it for the revenue, once again, YouTube ads, so they're bringing in quite a bit of revenue, $19 billion. That's nothing compared to the cost of revenue, which we looked at before, but it is nice that they are, bringing in some revenue because of all those ads like I talked about before. Now, another thing that I want to bring to your attention, Google didn't start releasing the YouTube ad revenue until 2 years ago, because, and this is just a theory, but they were not profitable until 2 years ago, until 2019. This was the very first year that they released numbers for their YouTube service. So another thing we'll look at is the cost of revenue, and this is the 2020, once again, annual report. So the cost of revenue was $51 billion. That number should sound familiar. The traffic acquisition cost, once again, had a big number as well, but not quite as big as the cost of revenue. Once again, a main part of that is the cost of bandwidth. So we'll go back one more year. This is 2019. We'll check out the YouTube ads. So they're once again making some money from it, but nowhere near enough to cover the costs of that bandwidth. And then lastly, the other cost of revenue is $41 billion for 2019. $51 billion for the entire year of 2020. And then if we're just going back for the last 6 months in 2021, the cost of revenues, more or less the bandwidth cost, is already $50 billion. So that is why Google needs Theta, because this is a decentralized streaming service that takes that bandwidth cost away from Google and brings it, to us. If you have a edge node or elite edge node, we provide that service for them. Of course, Theta probably will charge, but it will be nowhere as much as Fastly or doing it in-house, because this is all decentralized, and us as individuals, we're using our spare computing power to help out these larger companies. Of course, we'll get a little commission for doing so, but that in a nutshell is why Google will start using Theta before we know it, and it's just because of cost. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of this, and when do you think YouTube officially will come out and partner with Theta for their decentralized streaming service? See y'all next time.